Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to episode 11 of the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. Now, when you start these things, it always starts off as a bit of an experiment. And, not only did we survive the first 10 episodes, but we're doing really well. And I couldn't be any prouder. Now, one thing I'm starting to notice when I'm speaking to people, I spoke to people from all kinds of different backgrounds and from different points of view. And one thing I'm starting to notice as a reoccurrence is throughout the town is cooperation. People like to work together and encourage each other. And what that does is it gives you a license to create. When I first started the show, my goal was to find what was special about this town. And we're already starting to get different ideas as to what the secret ingredients are. And one of those is cooperation, people working together. How great is that? Now, today's show is going to be with CHEBSEY. Shane's a great guy. I'm really looking forward to everything we're working together with in the future. We seem to work really well together. Shane is bringing the COMICBOOK Festival to Shrewsbury in June. It's quite far off, but we want to start talking about it now and start generating interest because it's a really exciting event, a comic book festival in Shrewsbury. And during this episode, we sit and we talk about what's going to be going on during that period and what you've got to look forward to. I've offered my services to Shane, Charlie and Jane, who are organising this event, and they have got our complete backing. There you go. We're really looking forward to it. It's right up my alley, it hits me right in the geek nerve, this does. So you'll notice a very different side to me on this episode, certainly. We cover a lot of events, and upcoming now is the Darwin Festival. It's going to be our first event, which starts on the 8th of February, and it runs right through to the 24th of February. You've got a couple of weeks there of great events that we're going to be covering as much as we can. Now, next week's episode, I'm going to be speaking to Fiona from the Unitarian Church in town. And, of course, this is the Darwin Festival, and it's only just before I went into the church I realised the significance of that place, being it, Darwin's church when he was a child. So that's the significance right there, and it's very relevant. So we spoke to Fiona to find out what they're going to be taking part with the Darwin Festival, and you're going to be hearing it quite a lot because we're going to be covering that throughout pretty much the whole of February. So if there's anybody, I know I'm speaking to a few people that want to come on the show soon. If you haven't heard of me yet, that's because we're going to be covering February is I've dedicated to the Darwin Festival, so we're going to be covering as much of that as possible. But for this episode, I hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much to Shane, Charlie and Jane as well for being very supportive with me through this. Like I said, cooperation. They're giving me a license to breathe and to grow and to create, and that's really inspiring. Shane's also given me a bit of music as well. You're going to hear a nice new intro so I can use a bit of their music. This is from his band called Cosmic Rays, and the band Cosmic Rays are Charlie Adlard, Shane CHEBSEY, Kevin Dark, and Rog McFall. And I want to try out a new intro. So thank you to someone else as well for letting us use their music for 10 episodes. I don't know where this is going to go, but trial and error. I hope you like it, and I hope you enjoy the episode. Any comments, make sure you get back to me on the social media. Twitter at ShrewsburyB1. On Facebook, we are the Shrewsbury Biscuit Podcast Group. And on Instagram, the Shrewsbury Biscuit Podcast. You can also email us at shrewsburybiscuitpodcast@gmail.com. Love you guys, and thank you so much for letting me get through another 10 episodes, hopefully. And then another 10. 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 Thank you, Shane, for joining me on the Shrewsbury Biscuit. I thought we'd just go straight into it.
Oh, we're on.
Yeah,
that's fine. That's good. Yeah,
we're
rolling.
straight into it because I've come around your house and you've got the most uncomfortable coffee table for a microphone stand. He was like, nope, I'm not having it. So we've got my mic stand attached to your bookcase, reaching right across your sofa, and you have a blue microphone
in my face,
pushed right into your face.
It's quite nice. Yeah, it's all right. Makes me feel very comfortable. Yeah.
You look like you're going to play a game of Ender's Game.
I don't know. Yeah, I feel like I'm piloting an X-wing or something. That's cool.
Right, so I have come here today because we kind of crossed paths many times. Whilst I was creating the biscuit, whilst you were doing your thing, we kind of kept bumping into each other along the way, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
We're going to be working together quite a lot, I've found out. That
we are? Well, I assume so.
I definitely feel like we should be because we both kind of got a similar... Well, I consider myself as a geek and as a nerd. I love my comic books, my Batman. I love Batman. I've come around yours now and it's like a nerd palace. It's amazing. I love it here. We got a big Wonder Woman poster, lots of DVDs, toys and things. It's great. Thank you for inviting me around. I feel privileged.
No, you're very welcome. It's nice to surround yourself with the things you love, isn't it? It's your home after all, you know.
Yeah. So let's find out a bit about you. Why? What's the reason why I've bumped past with you? Like, let's introduce you properly.
Okay. Well, I suppose the primary reason we've crossed paths is that I'm co-director of the SALOPIA Comics Festival, which is happening in Shrewsbury next year, on the 1st and 2nd of June. And
this year now.
This year, yes. Yeah. Sorry, yeah. Of course, we're in 2019.
It's going quick. It's going too quick.
That's scary. So this year, this June, and I don't know. I think you're promoting a lot of really cool stuff. You know, arts and literature and stuff in Shrewsbury. And it just seemed like very natural for us to get in touch with each other.
Absolutely.
I think you came to me first, didn't you? You sort of
I actually can't remember how these things happen. Do you know what? There's so much going on with the biscuit and things at the moment. I kind of struggle where I am and what I've been doing. But I do remember getting in touch with... Yes, I did actually. I got in touch with you and I was like, hey, let's comic book festival. Let's talk.
Let's talk. And then we didn't talk for about a month.
Yes. And you're like, I'm going to call you. And I was like, okay. And you know, like, it's weird. We all walk around, we put phones in our faces and we scroll and we got these devices in our, you know, but as soon as somebody rings you on it, you're kind of like,
phone call.
Yeah, phone call. Got to use my voice.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a good chat and we decided that we're going to work together. I'm going to help you like I help a lot of other people in Shrewsbury because we also have a mutual appreciation for arts. And
indeed.
I don't know what it is. I think maybe I've got a criminal obsession for the artistic mind. I don't know what it is. I really am obsessed with people that can create and the kind of process that goes behind it, and also about how we can use that to inspire people.
Do you create yourself?
I consider this as
this
my
is your
art.
creation, your podcast. Yeah, it's a creative endeavor, isn't it? You know, creative people express themselves in lots of different ways. You know, based on what their talents are, what their interests are. And anything where you are coming up with something original to entertain or to inspire others, it's a creative endeavour. Whether that's a podcast, whether it's creating an event, or creating a piece of art.
And you're quite the artist yourself. I've seen
I do a little bit.
It's not a little bit. It's really good, actually.
Oh, thank you.
I like the podcast venue that I've been down, this journey that I've been on has actually led to many different things. One of which is like kind of Photoshop and making my own posters. And I mean, I've just created the new logo for the show. It looks really good. I really appreciate it, but that's because I've been having to do it for the podcast. And the same as art. I mean, I'd like to consider myself that one day I could probably go and do art because I used to be good at it in school. But I'd rather just talk. Yeah. My mum was like, "You never shuts up. You should do something with that one day."
Well, there you go. That's your talent, isn't it? And that's how you create your work, your art through your vocal abilities. You know, and that's cool.
Yeah, it's great. It's bringing people together, and that's what it's designed to do. We've got a community of people brewing now. We get people coming to the biscuit, and this is what you're bringing as well with this comic book festival. You know, because we've never had anything like this in Shrewsbury before, have we?
Not really, no. I did a little festival. Well, I helped somebody else do a little festival a couple of years ago but it was on quite a small scale, and it wasn't my festival. I was helping somebody else do it. So this is the first truly independent comic book festival in Shrewsbury.
Yeah.
There aren't that many actual festivals for comics in the UK. There's a lot of conventions, there's the odd conference, but there aren't that many festivals. Yeah, true.
And also, as well, I was speaking to Charlie Adlard a while ago, and he was saying that a lot of the Comic Cons that you go to now, like MCM, who I have represented, do a great. It's a great event, but they kind of veer towards more the TV and the movies now.
They do. It's multimedia. Yeah, they don't special. I mean, they have improved their comics coverage this year. They had a lot of really big names coming to MCM, and I like what they're doing. I like the fact that since they got bought out by Reed Pop, they've started to embrace comics more, and I think that's a great thing. I really do. But I think at their heart, I think MCM will always be more of a multimedia event because they do appeal to a massive demographic.
Well, of course,
it's not a specialist event. It's a very mainstream. At one time, being a geek was, you were the odd one out. You were an outsider. Whereas now you are fully within the mainstream, being a inverted commas geek. It's almost you're not a geek anymore. You are part of the mainstream now.
There's nothing more powerful than somebody going into you like, how many Robins has Batman had? And you're like, I know the answer to this. Sit down, I'm about to school you. There's nothing more powerful than that moment. I think geeks have taken over the world, and I'm really proud of where we are now, because I was kind of a closet geek, I guess, a while ago, because I used to read a lot about Spawn was my in onto comic books.
Right, Todd McFarlane.
Yeah. I love Todd McFarlane. I'm really looking forward to that movie that he's making.
Yeah.
Guys who listen to the Shrewsbury Biscuit are actually listening to this now thinking, this is a different version of Alex. This is a free-flowing... Because this is my topic. This is my thing.
We're just talking. We're just chewing the fat here. That's the best way to do it, I think. We just talk. Eventually, we'll get around to your little list of questions.
We will do eventually. Yeah, we'll get on track. But this is podcasting joy for me. So, how did this happen? Like, where did the idea come from? I mean, I know you said you worked with an event before. Was that it? Was that the spark?
Well, I always wanted to do a festival in Shrewsbury because it's my hometown. I love it, and it's the perfect place to have a comics festival. It always made sense to do that. Charlie agreed, because me and Charlie have been friends for a long time. We're in a band together. So we talked about it a lot, for a few years now. It's like, well, there really should be a festival in Shrewsbury. It's the ideal place. We've got so many amazing venues. We've got such a good art scene here.
And lots of comic book artists as well, which Charlie illustrated to me. I had no idea. You're right. It would make sense, because we were just talking before I recorded, and on last week's show, I had Ron Morgan on the show, the author, and we were talking. I was saying it's like a bottomless pit of talent. Shrewsbury is. It's just ridiculous how many people have extraordinary talents. I mean, we're not just talking about artists, but there are clever people here as well, writers and podcasters, especially.
I mean, it's full of innovation this time.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, that's something, that we cottoned onto when we were looking for sponsors and people to work with. A lot of the businesses here are cutting-edge businesses, and they just happen to be based here because it's a much nicer place to live than London, I guess. But you don't, a lot of these businesses, especially technology businesses, don't need to be based in a city.
Yeah, and as well, I mean, you got like independent business owners. I'm finding, as I'm just kind of meandering through Shrewsbury, you want to be on my podcast, you want to do this. I mean, whether it's Mike at Stop, or it's Duncan at Planet Donut, or Joel at the prison, they're kind of like, yes, I will help you. Yeah. You've got an idea, I'll help you. You can help me, I'll help you. And it's brilliant to see that.
Yeah, there's a lot of that spirit actually in Shrewsbury. Businesses there's a lot of cross-pollination between different sectors as well. Yeah. People just want to see people do well, because a lot of people are really struggling, if we're honest, aren't they? If you go to the retail sector, people are struggling because of the business rates and things like that, and obviously internet shopping. The bars are struggling. A lot of places are really struggling. So when people join up and they work together to do some cross-promotion, they're helping each other, and I think there's a real sense of community there because of that. I think the adversity of the current situation for people has created this sense of community, and people are more willing now to work together. I mean, when I started doing events, I've been running comics events for 12 years now, And when I first started doing events, it was a very different world, It was a lot easier to run events for a start because there were only 2 in the country.
Yeah.
Whereas now there are like 120.
Were they smaller as well? Or did they have to be bigger because there was only 2?
I think it was different. It was a different landscape because comic conventions in the sort of early 2000s and previous to that they were just about comics. They were all just about, you didn't have these big multimedia events. So they were big, but they were big in the regard of what you'd expect a comic convention to be big.
Yeah.
So it might be 5,000 people, 6,000 people. That was considered big.
Yeah. Wow.
Whereas, MCM, what do they get? 140,000 people, something like that?
Well, the MCM that I did for my other show, they invited me. Well, they let me go there as a member of the press. It blew my mind. It was my first ever Comic-Con, and I'd never seen such a big thing in my life. It was huge.
Yeah,
ridiculously huge.
It is huge. It's almost too big because you can't really. It doesn't feel like it's part of something that you're involved with almost. And I mean, it's all preference, isn't it? I like the small shows, because you can feel an ownership of them. You can feel like you are part of it. That just by being there as a fan, you're actually contributing to it.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes with a big show, it's a little bit impersonal. That's not a criticism. That's just my personal preference. When I go to an event, I prefer a more intimate occasion.
Yeah, and to bring just a slice of that to Shrewsbury is an achievement, Because
well, yeah. I mean, it's going to be very different though. Comic Salopia is a true festival.
Yeah.
So for a start, most of it's free.
Great. That's a good word for everyone. Free. You got that, guys.
Straight away, you're taking away a barrier because obviously to get into a convention, you usually have to pay about £15 to £25, depending on the convention. Some of the really small ones, it might only be £6 or £7, but that's a barrier for some people.
Yeah.
That can, if you're on a low income or if you've got to travel a long way.
It's just at the wrong time of month where it's just like,
there's lots of reasons why you might not be able to, you say, well, I've got to pay to get in and then I want to buy stuff and I might need a hotel, I might need to travel. So we just wanted to take away some of those barriers, sorry, and make as much of it free as possible. So most of the main stuff going on, all the exhibits, the market, we're going to have a market in the square.
Wow.
I mean, because they're always really good, but it's going to be a self-publishers, independent publishers market. So that's going to really open up comics that people have never seen before, because the UK industry it's sort of hidden away. It's like a mystery to some people.
Yeah.
They don't realise all this stuff's going on. And we want to expose the general public to all these amazing comics that are being published.
I was going to ask, actually, with some of these independent comics, with like Marvel and DC, they've kind of made the switch to a lot of them digital. I mean, I'll sit and read a comic book on my tablet now.
Yeah.
Are a lot of independent comic books doing that, or is it just paper? Or?
Yeah, there's a company called Comic House, which are sort of an indie version of Comixology.
Yeah.
They're a great company because they do, I think, they do streaming comics, I think, and you can download and you can buy hard copies, and it is very, very accessible, and it's all indie stuff, mostly. I think there's some like Judge Dredd stuff on there as well, but it's mostly indie stuff, small press stuff, and it's really nicely put together. It's really easy to use. So the indie publishers now are really tapping into that digital market.
Oh, so that's great, because that means it's more accessible than
it's totally accessible.
Having to find boxes to put stuff in.
Yeah.
So you said that you're going to have stuff going on in the market square. You're going to be doing stuff in the quarry as well. I take it.
We're not using the quarry this year. That was a purposeful decision. Does that make sense? That's not English, but that
I think we get the idea.
We made that decision on purpose because one of the aims of this festival is to bring people into the town. So they use the facilities of the town. They go into the shops, they go into the coffee shops, they go into the pubs. We want to boost the economy. And so part of what we decided was we're not going to use the quarry, because what happens is with quarry events, people get sort of shepherded straight to the quarry down by the river. Yeah. They don't go into town. And that sort of defeats the object of one of the main things we want to try and do, which is
brilliant idea.
Support the town.
Fantastic.
So all of our venues are mostly in town.
Yeah.
We're using the Guild Hall for our ticketed events.
Yeah.
We're also using the Butter Market, the Museum and Art Gallery, the Castle Grounds, the library. So
Wow.
we've created an area within the centre of the town, really, from the sort of, the castle up to the square, and then across to the Guild Hall. That triangle, if you will, is the area of the festival, and we're just taking over the town, basically.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really good. And have you had much response for it? There's a lot of people interested.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, local businesses obviously are interested because it's good for them.
Yeah.
We're also going to be using the shopping centres as well, because there's lots of empty units, there's lots of empty spaces, and we're working with the council. The county council and the town council have been amazingly supportive.
Is there space for a mixer and a microphone somewhere?
Yeah, I'm sure they will. We could
have
have a podcast zone. You could podcast
could.
live from the festival, no problem. Yeah.
hey, come sit and talk to me. No, that's what I find about Comic-Con. Actually, is I had my little handheld microphone.
All right.
And I'd go up to cosplayers. Cosplayers, guys, are people that dress up as comic book heroes.
Yes.
But they do that as a kind of a release. They're kind of usually really shy people, but when they dress up in cosplay, say they dress up as Batman or as Deadpool or something like that, it's kind of a release for them. They become really confident. It's almost as if they have become those. It's
taking on that character, isn't it? You talk to a lot of performers or that go on stage or people that dress up in general, and you'll find they're shy people.
Yeah, I put a mic in their face and I'd be like, "Would you like to talk to me for the press?" And they're like, "No."
Yeah,
no.
Yeah. They don't want to. They probably don't want to talk to anyone one to one sometimes.
Yeah.
And you find that, I believe it or not, I'm a shy person, really. Don't look at me like that. I am.
I believe you. I believe you because I'm the same. Unless I've got a microphone in my face or if I've got a purpose or a goal. Yeah. I think we first met in the coffee house. We were for a meeting. And I was sat there like, is that him? Is that him? I forgot to look at the picture on Facebook, in all honesty. But I was kind of tapping the table like, where is he? Where is that him? And I get like that sometimes. It's understandable.
Yeah.
But is this something that you thought you'd be doing when you were younger? Like, is this
organising events?
Like comic book? Have you always been into your comic books?
I've always been into comics since I could read, which was pretty early on in life because my mum was really great and taught me how to read before I went to school. So I was reading, sort of early in my fourth year, of my life. So I remember the first thing I ever read by myself was I think it was the Incredible Hulk Annual, 1977.
Oh, wow.
So I would have been 4, 5, something like that. Because it was new. It had just come out, Showing me age now. And I remember my mum always used to buy me the Incredible Hulk Annuals. And they were usually just like hardback reprints of American comics, but they were great. And I remember I wanted to read, and this is getting onto literacy in comics, is that comics made me want to read. As a young boy, a lot of young boys don't want to read. You just talk to a lot of young boys now, and they say, they're not really into reading. I'll play games, I'll watch TV, I don't want to read. But comics are that bridge because they're visual, and they're often they can be any subject matter, but more often than not. For young boys, they can be about superheroes, they can be about war comics, they can be crime comics, whatever. They can be genres that young boys are interested in. Predominantly young boys, obviously young girls as well.
Well, there's a lot of changes been made to comic books recently. I mean, there's always been females in comic books, but recently, a lot of really inspiring characters.
It's opened up now, and it's for the better. A lot of young girls now are starting to read comics as well, which is fantastic. But girls tend to be, in my experience, better readers anyway. They're more interested in reading than boys are. Boys will read, girls will read books. They'll read magazines. They're more open to reading, I think. And so, I think it was really important when I was a child. Going back to the original questions, for me, being 4 years old, my mum wanted me to read early, and she got me to read comics, and that was how she got me to read. And by the time I went to school, I was a great reader, so it gave me that head start. So for me, and the part of what we're doing with the festival as well is to promote that literacy that comics can bring to young children, that interest in literacy, that interest in reading that crosses over from games and movies, because there is that little crossover, between the different mediums. And it's a really good, encouraging medium for youngsters, and that's why that's one of the reasons I love comics so much. If it wasn't for comics, I would not have been an advanced reader at school.
Yeah. It's amazing as well, actually, how that one comic book can inspire. I remember a young guy coming up to me, he would normally be mortified at the mention of comic books. He saw I was reading a bit of Batman, and he was like, "Oh, okay, if I was going to read a Batman, which one would you give me?" So I gave him an issue. Well, I gave him the Justice League Trinity War.
Right, I've not read that.
It's amazing.
So you got me at disadvantage. I haven't read that one.
It's a really good book, and it was basically the three Justice Leagues fighting against each other about this one thing, and it was all it does is it kind of introduces you to pretty much every single character that you've got in
so is it a cross universal, like multiversal story? Justice Leagues from
it's
different
a convergence.
universes?
It's definitely a convergence, and like you can be reading like a copy of like Shazam or something, or Constantine, and you'd be like, why is Constantine got Shazam's power? And it
right, God, it is.
But then it'll make sense in the actual book. And so I gave him this, and I said to him, like, this will just introduce you to kind of all the kind of characters that are in the DC. And he came back, and he's like, give me more.
Yeah.
You know, and it kind of introduced him into that. But do you think that you're talking about multimedia, really? Do you think that like movies and TVs bring people into comics, or do you think it takes them away?
I don't think. That's a good question. I think you'd have to do some proper scientific study of that to give a good answer. Yeah. You know, I could only guess really of the facts on that. But my feeling of it is that, you know, comics are a medium that require a lot of investment from the person doing the reading. Well, so there's not as much as reading a book, perhaps, but you have to give a bit back, you know. Yeah. Whereas a movie sort of happens to you, you know. A game, it's immersive, but it does everything for you, you know. Whereas a comic, you have to give something back. All the action happens in the gutters, i.e., in your imagination. You know, you've got the images that tell you there's sort of punctuations in time, but all the action is in your imagination. All the sounds, exactly, all the characterization. The artist, a good storyteller, enables you to use your imagination, basically.
And I think it's really helpful as well. I mean, I work with the youth, and not just the youth. I mean, I work with older, sort of young adults, and I do think that, you know, you get a lot of kids that I can't read, or I don't like to read books, things like that. I was going to do a weird accent then, but I thought that was really disrespectful. But yet you see young people scrolling on their phones, reading things on Twitter, reading things on Facebook, Snapchat, things like that, using their imagination. And so if they pick up a comic book, if they're used to reading in short form, whether it be statuses on Facebook, or the odd story they find, as well as drop their barrier, because a lot of young people are like, no, I'm not showing my emotions. I'm not releasing this. If they could like disappear into a room, read comic book, say like an issue of Green Lantern or something, and just imagine that they could do that whilst reading these short form stories, I think it could actually inspire people that are used to like shrugging their shoulders.
Yeah, I think so. I think the thing about comics is that when I was a kid growing up, or when you were a kid growing up, probably comics and superheroes were one in the same. You know, we didn't really think of them as two different things. Yeah. So, because obviously comics are an art form, but superheroes worked really well for comics. You couldn't make superhero movies in the 70s, not very good ones. Games weren't around. So if you wanted a power fantasy, and that's what superheroes are, they're a power fantasy, which is empowering for young people, whether they're a girl or they're a boy, it doesn't really matter. Power fantasies are very powerful, you know, because if you're disenfranchised, or if you're bullied or anything like that, the fantasy that you are suddenly more powerful is really, really attractive and really, really powerful. And see, I think that's why young people turn to comics a lot in that period of time, you know, from sort of the conception of commercial comics, you know, in the 40s through to and maybe not then, because back then it was more of a cultural phenomenon. Everyone read comics back then. But certainly in the 60s, when Marvel started up, and up until sort of around the mid-90s probably, comics were predominantly superheroes, and they were predominantly read by people who needed something to make them feel more powerful. Boost. Yeah. And I mean, I'm generalizing. Obviously, there's lots of exceptions to that. Yeah. But I think that was a huge part of the readership. And I think that sort of empowerment, that sort of belonging to something. Marvel in particular were really good at making you feel like you belonged to something. That's really powerful. Now, what happens now, those people are getting that hit, that fix from the movies. They're getting that fix from the games. because those superheroes are in the movies and it looks good.
Yeah.
And those superheroes, and you talk to a Marvel fan now, they're a Marvel fan. They're into the brand, they're into the characters. They're not into the medium of comics. They're into superheroes.
Yeah. And I almost want to try and encourage people to move away from this. You can only like the one thing, because one of my biggest arguments is people come up to me and they'll say, "Who's your favorite comic book hero?" And I'll be like, "It's Batman." Straight away, bam, Batman.
Yeah.
So what else do you like? I'll be like, I like Marvel and I like DC, both equally. I also like other comic books. I like Spawn, and I like the older Constantine that wasn't DC. I like
the Vertigo stuff.
Yeah. The Hellblazer.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
So I like a bit of everything. And but for some reason, everybody seems to think you can only like Marvel, or you can only like DC.
Well, it's tribalism, isn't it? You get it with, you get it in football, you get it in all sports. You get it.
Are you Blur or are you Oasis?
Yeah, it's just tribalism, and you talk to these people who are make mine Marvel or they only love DC or whatever. Usually, you'll find there's no actual logical reason for it. It's what they grew up with. They put down their stake, their claim. I'm DC. I'm Marvel, and they stuck with it, into adulthood beyond any form of logic. Most of us actually get out of that. I mean, I used to be a Marvel fan. I was Make My Marvel. I was a FOOM member.
It always starts with the Hulk.
Yeah, and this is the thing. The Hulk was on the TV. Spider-Man was on the TV. Marvel did things that DC didn't do. They were a little bit more hip. Their characters were a little bit more realistic, and approachable, and you understood. You empathized a little bit more with those characters. I couldn't really empathize with an alien who could do anything,
and a little guy with a monocle and a top hat who calls himself Penguin.
Well, this is the thing. It was from another time. DC are older characters. They're iconic, but they're older. So at the time, as a kid, Marvel just spoke to me more. So I remember me and my buddy Nick, we were both Marvelites, and I remember we found this old DC comic and we tore it up. I mean, DC! I wish I still kept it. It was an early Justice League. I mean, it was total tribalism, and when you're 11, that's allowed, I think. But when you're 45, I think you need to grow out of that. And I sort of grew out of it when I was about sort of maybe younger than that, about 13, I think. And I think John Byrne, who I was a massive fan of, who'd done the X-Men and stuff like that, and had great runs on lots of titles, moved over to DC and started doing Superman. And I had to make a choice then, because I wanted to follow John Byrne wherever he went, because he was an amazing artist, an amazing writer. And I thought, you know what? Sorry, I'm gonna buy Superman #1, or Man of Steel. It was actually #1.
We've all had the decision to make.
Yeah, and I bought a DC comic, and it's like, oh my god! Well, I've done it now. The floodgates have opened. Dark Knight Returns.
I remember when Greg Capullo come over to Batman, and everyone's like, "Oh, great! Batman's gonna have a 40-yard cape." I think me and Charlie were talking about that. But it was great.
I loved that run actually. The Court of Owls. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I've got that. I've actually got that.
But yeah, I mean, and then you realise, really early on in life, you realise that it's not really about the characters, and it's not really about the publishers. It's about the creators. Yeah. They're the people who make the comics.
And that's where it's important what you're doing in this town, because you're promoting people that spend years with these ideas in their head, that spend months, weeks working on these amazing pieces of artwork and storyboards, and yet they kind of lose out to the big boys of Marvel and DC. So what you're doing is you're taking them and you're showing people what they can do.
Definitely. Well, don't get me wrong, we're celebrating every type of comic, so I'm sorry I'm not looking at you. I'm trying to get better reception on the mic.
It's fine. I'm used to just doing that. That's what I do.
Yeah. So I'm not being rude. But I've totally lost my train of thought now. Yeah, so Marvel and DC, we're celebrating all types of comics. So we are still celebrating what Marvel and DC do, because they do some phenomenal work.
Yeah.
We're also celebrating what Image Comics do, what Dark Horse Comics do, what UK indie comics do, what web comics can do, what manga can do. All these different versions of comics You know, whether it's a graphic novel or even like if you're doing a massive sequential mural across the town, which is what we might be doing, which is what we are doing. That's all comics, you know, it's all just comics. So, and we love it all, in any shape or form it is, whether it's digital, whether it's on paper, whether it's on walls, it doesn't really matter. It's the art form that's important.
That's it, yeah. I mean, I'm really excited about this. But like, when Shane has this idea, he wants to come up with this event. What's the first thing you do? How do you start planning this? How does it begin?
Well, you need to find a team for something like this. I mean, I've been running cons for a long time, and I've built up a team of really good people to help me. But the first thing you always do, you know, when you're running a con is you find a venue, you find some guests. You know, this is once you've established a team. It's all very routine, but for this, for the festival, you need to create a team, a proper team of people
that you can rely on.
That you can rely on to make it happen. So we had to go through the process of talking to each other and formulating a plan for what we wanted to do and what we wanted to achieve, what our mission was, what was important to us.
Yeah.
You know, because we all have there's all different things that are important to each of us. Myself, Jane, and Charlie. There's things about this festival that we're passionate about. Some of them are the same things. Some of them are different things.
Yeah.
So we need to formulate that. What is our mission? What is our purpose?
Yeah.
You know, I think that was the initial thing. Yes, we want to do a festival. Yes, we want it to be town wide. Yes, we want it to be as free as possible and as accessible as possible.
Without having to fork out yourselves and lose out.
Yeah. So, and then it's just like, okay, we know what we want to achieve. How do we go about doing that? Then you form a plan to how do you get the funding? Which venues can we use? Will the council support us? You build that infrastructure, you know, around you, because as great as your ideas may be, as great as the guests may be that you bring along, you know, if you don't have that structure and that sort of support around you of people who are really good at what they do, then it will all just like fall apart, you know.
Are we cooking on gas? Is it going well?
Yeah, as far as I can tell.
Well, I'm here. I'm here.
Just tell me when you get bored, and I'll shut up.
No. No, I mean, like you're putting a lot of hard work into it. It would be a shame that if you put in all that you and Charlie and Jane and everybody else that's involved. Putting all this hard work into it, and then nobody's getting back to you. Nothing's happening. There's no chemistry. There's nobody getting back. So you've got this happening now. It's
I mean, like I said, the council are totally behind it. Local businesses are totally. We've got a lot of support from local media. People want this to happen because they want something like this in the town.
Yeah,
you know, and that's good for us.
Have you got many? I mean, I know you got people coming, but is there anybody that you can mention that's going to be there? Comic book artists?
Obviously all the local guys are going to be there. So, I mean, not a lot of people might know this, but obviously everyone knows about Charlie living here.
That's Charlie Adlard, guys, one of the co-creators of The Walking Dead.
That's
if you didn't know.
That's the man. Who's also in a band with me. I know I've mentioned that already, but I'd like to get that one in there as well. New album out next year.
Are you guys going to be performing at the festival?
We are actually. Yeah, we are going to be doing a gig. I think on the Friday evening. We're not sure where the venue is yet. It may be the Lion. But yeah, we're going to be doing a gig along with a few other artists on the Friday evening as part of the launch party.
Wow, I'll have to try to be there.
That'll be fun, yeah. And also, on the Saturday evening, Dan Owen is going to be doing a gig for us to help us towards our charity endeavours. Because one of the main things about the festival as well is that everything that we make is going towards a local charity called Share, which is a charity that supports people who've and their families who are in recovery, who've suffered from one form of addiction or another. So it really is a recovery charity. And the name Share, the idea of that is that people will share their knowledge and their skills to help those people and their families who are in recovery.
That's really good. That's amazing. I mean, what more? Here you go, comic books saving lives. You know?
Yeah, I mean, and it does say, you know, recovery is a really important part of the process.
Yeah.
It might be, you know, near the end, but it's it's essential that people get support when they're in recovery. So yeah, it's something that is something that we're all passionate about.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah,
that makes me even more want to get involved with this. So you're saying Charlie's going to be there? Who else?
Sorry, yeah, I got away from the question.
No, we do this. This is what we do on podcasts. We go on tangents.
Charlie, obviously, John Wagner, who co-created Judge Dredd with the late Carlos Esquerra, who unfortunately passed away last year. He is going to be there.
Fantastic.
We're going to be doing lots of really cool 2000 AD and Dread themed stuff at the prison, at the Dana. That's one of our other venues that we're working with.
You heard me talk about the Dana a bit too much. I do.
Well, immersive events do really cool immersive events, funnily enough. They do what it says on the tin.
Yeah.
And
they make me dress up as Santa and swear at people.
Well, they might make you dress up as a judge this time for this.
If they get me to play Judge Dredd, I'm telling you now, I will cry with joy. If I get to walk around shouting, I am the law.
But it's going to be amazing because not only are these immersive events going on, like with the judges, but there's going to be lots of 2000 AD artists and writers actually in the prison exhibiting as well. And people who are sort of inspired by 2000 AD, sort of independent creators, we're going to be giving them cells at the prison. So artists will have their own cell that they can exhibit their work, and people can walk around the prison, discover artists, meet famous 2000 AD creators.
Wow.
So that's going to be like the 2000 AD zone, the prison.
I'm going to be working overdrive on this because I run two podcasts and my other one's very nerdy and my co-hosts are going to be crying in their sleep when they hear about all this that's going on. So like this is going to be really hard work for you, but is this like is it fun to do this, or is it driving you a bit nuts? Is like lots going on? Is there something that you do to kind of relax yourself if that's the case?
I don't really. Well, this is probably the most relaxed I've been for a long time. I'll be honest. Doing events, because I do other events as well as this one.
Yeah, we should give ICE a shout out as well.
Yeah,
ICE.
I do ICE, which is the International Comic Expo. Which there's one in Birmingham and there's one in Brighton in March. So yeah, I'll be honest. I don't really have much time to chill because obviously I have a full-time job as well, and in the band, and so. Basically, all my time is devoted really to all my spare time is devoted to comics events.
We've got so much in common. It's crazy.
But when you love something, you know yourself. You love your podcast, you know, and when you love something, you're passionate about it, and you care about it. You're quite happy to devote your time to it.
Absolutely. And do you know what? Before Christmas, I was kind of getting I wasn't getting tired of the podcast. I would never say that, but
just tired.
I was doing too much. I really was, and I had a week off during the holidays, and I come back with a spring in my step. I just want to create and make, and I spent I think it's about a day and a half editing this last week's episode, so it sounded perfect. I wanted it to sound like one of the best podcasts I've ever done, and it pays off, and you know. But then you're tired again afterwards.
You are, yeah. You get tired, don't you?
Yeah.
You have like these energy reserves that you go into. I don't know about you, but if something big happens, like after an event, after I've done ICE, for example, I'm usually ill for about 3 days.
Yeah. Just don't want to get out of bed.
The body's been going at full bore for a long time without a rest, and then you do the event, which takes all of your energy and all of your power, as it were. And then you've got nothing left. And it takes a while for your body and your mind to recover from that.
It can't be easy for you, mate. I mean, it's me going, I do editing. I sit at a computer. You're organising an event that involves thousands of people. And, you know, that can't be easy, especially when there's all those logistics. I bet it's logistically quite difficult.
I love it. I love doing it. So, yeah, it's always a challenge. It's really challenging. You know, and I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm not moaning because I love it.
People to turn up.
I'm looking for people to turn up, yeah. But it's something I love, so I don't feel bad about feeling tired afterwards. It's almost like a satisfying feeling. It's like I've done a good job. It's like when you go to work and had a really good day at work, and you get home and you're absolutely knackered. Can I say that word? Is that right?
Yeah, we're good. We're family friendly, but no, that's fine.
It's not too bad, is it?
No.
And you get home, but you feel good because I've achieved a lot today.
Yeah.
And that's a good feeling. So I don't mind being tired as long as I've achieved something.
And take this from a fellow nerd. Like, you bring in something like this to this town. We are all grateful.
You're welcome.
Collectively, we are all grateful, and I guarantee, like, you're gonna get a good response from this town, because there are a lot of people that enjoy this kind of thing.
Yeah.
I feel anyway.
Yeah, and we're going to be bringing people in from all over the country.
Yes,
because the guests. I mean, going back to your question about guests. I mean, we've got people coming in from the States. We've got a chap coming from New Zealand. We've got a lot of people coming from Europe.
Wow.
So it's an international festival. Don't get me wrong. Tyler Kirkham, who does a lot of Venom stuff, he's coming over from the States. Scott McCloud, who I've got his graphic novel there actually, the sculptor. He wrote Understanding Comics, which for me was a seminal book about how comics work, how storytelling works, and how cartooning works.
Yeah.
So for me, Understanding Comics and Scott McCloud, massive influence on my appreciation of the medium. So to have him coming over, he's doing an event for us as well. We got a chap called Ben Steinbeck who's worked with Mike Mignola. He's coming over from New Zealand, and obviously the cream of the crop in the UK as well.
Brilliant. I mean, it sounds. I really can't wait. When something like this happens, you try and find creative ways to explain how excited you are, and you just keep repeating to yourself, "I can't wait. I really can't wait. I just want this to happen."
Yeah. I mean, I can't wait to make it happen. I can't wait for it to happen. But it's like one of those things when you plan it for over a year and then it's over in 2 days.
How do people find out how do people like find their tickets to the events that are ticketed, or that you may be free but you do need to apply for a ticket?
Yeah, so all the main stuff is free. So you want to go to the castle and enjoy the comics fair that we're putting on there. There's going to be loads of fun stuff going on there. There's going to be caricaturists, face painting, Jedi fight training, all that sort of stuff. So there's going to be lots of really fun stuff going on in the castle. That's all free. There's going to be children's activities going on in the library. They're mostly free. But if you want to go, like, most of the ticketed stuff is happening over at the Guild Hall.
Okay.
And that's aimed at, anyone really. There's going to be some really cool events. There's going to be some educational events. There's going to be some more academic events about comics as well.
Yeah.
Workshops, talks, panels, whatever you can think of, it'll be happening at the Guild Hall. Okay. And those ticketed events will go on sale individually on the website over the next few months.
Website, you say? What website?
The website, www.comicsalopia.com. Nice and easy to remember.
There you go.
With 2 S's. On there you can also buy packages. So we've got family tickets, so that all of the kids' workshops, you can get them all for a package price. The idea being that if you're a parent and you want to take your kids, it's not going to cost you the earth.
And even if it did, you're helping a great cause as well.
Yeah, and you get and it all goes to charity. And but the thing is, you're offering, we think, really good value on those events because I mean, for example, a family ticket for the Saturday is only 35 quid.
Oh yeah,
I think I'm saying that from memory. I hope it's right.
Yeah, but I mean, if that's
the
break that
ballpark,
down, say 4 people, it's crazy.
There's a whole program of events going on all weekend, and that family ticket gets you into all of the kids' events. So all the kids' workshops, all the stuff in the library that's happening, it's all included in that family ticket for you, your partner, and up to 3 of your kids. Yeah. So that it's almost free, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But the thing is, as well, I would encourage people, if you've got young kids, despite whether they're into the Marvel characters, if they like the Avengers and things like that, despite that, there might be something there that will just spark the inspiration that might make them want to go and write, and make them want to go and draw. I always encourage people to get their kids involved with stuff like this, because the inspiration's always there. It's all around them.
Yeah.
So
it's storytelling. That's the thing. The thing about comics is it's about telling stories, and stories are really good for us. They inspire us. They give us hope. They make us better people when we're inspired by them. And comics is one of the most powerful storytelling mediums. And it's great for kids. It really is.
Look what it's done to the entertainment world.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we're going straight back to the big boys. I'm sorry, independent comic book artists, but Marvel are ruining things at the moment because they're doing so well. It's amazing how great they're doing. I'm proud. I'm proud to be a nerd right now. It's an amazing time. Have you got anything else that you want to plug? Anything else? I mean, I know you can talk more about this if you like, but I mean,
the main thing I'd say I'd want to talk about is obviously Comic Salopia, but I do other shows as well. I've got a show in March, on the 9th of March, another Ice show in Brighton.
Yeah.
So obviously local people, it's a long way. And then on the 31st of August, I've got Ice Birmingham, which is another comic convention that I do.
I'll be there.
Yeah,
I'll be there. I've already offered you.
We
my
did
sword.
one. We did it last year, and that went really well. Well, I've done Ice now since 2014, and it's always been. It's got a nice little reputation as a really good little show. It's not massive. It's not like MCM. When you've got thousands and thousands of people. It's very intimate. But that's great because you get to sit and talk or stand and talk to the artists and the writers as much as you want. Really, there are queues. Don't get me wrong, but it's not sort of a conveyor belt. And we don't have all this oh, say hello, right, next one, say hello, next one. It's none of that.
I queued for about 45 minutes to speak to Chris Parry. Who's Rimmer in Red Dwarf.
Yeah.
And that was very much a very quick kind of sign the photo, off you go.
Yeah. It's not very personal, is it?
No.
I mean, people say, "Oh, I met I don't know, some star, Mark Hamill. I met Mark Hamill. Did you? What did you talk about? Oh, I didn't get to speak to him. So you didn't meet him. You were in the same space as him, and you paid £120 or whatever for the privilege of it. To me, that's not meeting somebody. I mean, I understand that people want to do that, and I'm not, I'm not disrespecting it because I honestly, if someone's inspired you as an actor all your life, of course you want to be in the same space as them. Of course you do, and that's cool, But for me, it's not for me, I like to meet people, I like to talk to them, I like to go for a beer with them, and that's what we do, I mean, at Ice, not after the show, we go for a beer with a guest. It's a very personal sort of thing, and I want to bring that into Comic Salopia as well. I don't want it to be them and us. I don't want it to be the stars, of comics and the fans, with a big divide. I want them to meet the artist, to talk to the artist, and get inspired. Because that's a much better experience. Because it's all about the experience of the visitor. The person who comes to your event, they want to walk away thinking that they've had a really good experience.
Yeah, that's a brilliant quality to bring to something like that, and I think you explained that better than I could. I really did, because you illustrated that by saying when your band is going to play. It's going to be with a lot of other artists, and you'll be able to go and sit there and sit with these guys.
Mingle with the artists and the writers. Talk to them. That's what it's all about.
I was about to say you probably wouldn't see Todd McFarlane sat there on a stage rocking out, but you probably would with Todd McFarlane knowing him.
You never know. He's an interesting guy.
He really is. My final question, who, if you've listened to my show before, you'll know it's coming. But what does Shrewsbury mean to you?
Whoa, where do I start? Well, I was born here. I was born at Copthorne, so it's my home spiritually, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a religious person, but I feel that if there is such a thing as a soul, it's very much mine is connected to Shrewsbury, and it's home. That's all I could say really. It's the beginning of everything for me. I was born here, and I have had so many wonderful things happen while I've been living here, because I haven't always lived here. I went to college in Wrexham. I grew up sort of the other side of the county, sort of out in only a few miles away actually, in High Arkle, is where I grew up. I was a country lad really. Oh, but Shrewsbury was always, where you'd go, go to town, go to Shrewsbury. It was always a very exciting place when I was young. So there's lots of memories of excitement, of this the thrill of going to this big town, as I thought it was back when I was a kid. Get on the bus, go to Shrewsbury, get lost, get into a bit of bother or whatever. But we had such good times, and so many of my best memories are from this town, and I still love it. I walk through town all the time, obviously, and I look around and I think it's a beautiful town. There's so much here. The people are so nice. It's got its problems. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know that because you were interviewing the guys at the Ark, and there's a homeless problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I feel a lot. I feel a lot of passion for. I'd love to do something about that. I think, you know, I see homeless people, not just here in Shrewsbury, but all over the country. There's a major problem in this country with homelessness at the moment. And I feel like the time is coming where I can't not do anything anymore. It's getting to the point where I feel like I need to do something about it because it's getting beyond a joke. It really is.
It is. It's really hard to see because it kind of emotionally kind of tears you up inside. I mean, I've just driven through town now and, you know, tucked in by Waitrose.
Yeah.
There was like 3 people there, and I was just kind of like, oh man, you know. But what can you do? I mean, by the time you start,
that's the question, isn't it? What can you do? And I'm starting to ask myself that question a lot lately. What can I do? Because I want to do something. Because it's really getting to the point where you see, it's so easy to dehumanize people, isn't it?
Yeah,
they're homeless people. They're homeless people. They're not me. Of course, they're me. They're human beings, and they're living on the streets in the cold. And I know this isn't the subject of this podcast.
No.
It's some. You know, you asked me what Shrewsbury means to me, and it shouldn't mean. You know, that we live in a world. I don't think where people are living on the streets. You know.
There are a lot of places.
Heart, really
there are a lot of places in Europe and things that are trying to eradicate homelessness. I mean, getting close to doing so.
It can be done. It just needs the will, not just the will of the politicians, because we like to blame politicians for everything, don't we? But each and every one of us have to, you know. And I've honestly started to ask myself that question because I feel bad that I haven't done anything, that I don't do enough. I do give money to homeless people. So people say not to, but I do. Or I'll buy them something. I'll buy them a pasty or something like that. And people make judgments. People dehumanize, and they tell their own stories about these people in their heads. They don't know why they're there. They don't know what they've been through to be there. And I think people are just too quick to judge sometimes. I see a lot of sort of aggression and hatred towards homeless people. I think, how can that be?
Yeah, it made me laugh. It didn't make me laugh. I got angry, to be honest, when you see. There was something about in London, and people they were fining homeless people for sleeping in certain places.
Oh, it's just that's inhuman. It's inhuman. It really is. It's despicable. That
you know, all the money you don't have. Well,
that's just beyond. That's beyond a joke.
Yeah, it really is. But you know, like you said, if you could find a way to, it's nice what people say about Shrewsbury, because they always say it's almost like a nucleus. You know, it's kind of it's always the center of everybody's kind of being. Like I don't hear a lot of people going, I need to get out of town, man. I need to get out of Dodge because I hate it here. You know, there's a lot of people out here and happy to be here.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, anyone who didn't like it, they've already gone, haven't they?
Yeah, and if they do, they come back.
They come back. Well, what it is, they go somewhere else and then they realise what a nice town Shrewsbury is, because they spend some time living somewhere else that isn't as nice, you know, and then they end up coming back because, wow, this beautiful park, all this beautiful architecture. There's a castle. There's great schools. You know, whatever your point of view is, if you're a family, it's a great place to bring up kids. There's really good schools here. There's good recreation here. There's an amazing music scene here. If you're into music, live music.
The podcast scene is amazing.
Yeah. Let us not forget that.
The Shrewsbury Biscuit, man, running things. It's great. And I do feel like there is definitely some sort of bottomless pit. There's just an endless like group of people that are just so talented and willing to talk to me as well, you know.
Yeah.
And let's hope that this the comic book SALOPIA gets people inspired and brings people together, because I'd like to meet more people.
Yeah,
you know,
I think it will. You know, I know it will, because you know the people we've got are some of the best in the industry. You know, and it has to inspire people. It really does, because there's nothing like it in the town, I don't think. Well,
Shane, I would like to offer you my sword. You know, they're doing Game of Thrones, and they're like, I am now your... Anything that the Shrewsbury Biscuit can do to help
I appreciate that. I do.
You've got us, whether you want us to go and speak to some comic book artists, whether you want to do a survey in town, you know, but we can be here, and like we'll definitely attend the festival, and I'll probably be representing 2 shows, but I'll be there. I don't mind doing that at all. I'll get a tent, stay in the castle grounds. Thank you very much, Shane, for talking to me.
Absolutely welcome.
I've been really dying to speak to you, actually, so I'm really happy. So I'm glad.
It's great. It's been a really good chat.
Yeah, it's relaxed. I mean, 2 nerds sat chatting together about comic books.
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
It doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. Well, look, thank you very much, and good luck with the festival.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Peace out.